Hey everybody, this is GGB and co-host Poppers, and today I didn't set up this, setting up that entire thing so I could get this out in time. So, I know what you guys are all wondering. What happened yesterday? There was two pretty big upsets yesterday, so let's go over them. Purdue was able to upset Ohio State. Thank you, Purdue! Giving me an upset. There were only two upsets yesterday, but it kept the streak alive. Two upsets in a row. I'll set Poppers down over here. She'll say goodbye to you guys later. But she'll be sleeping over there for right now. But Purdue beat Ohio State, putting them to 6-3 in conference. Illinois was able to beat out Penn State last night as well. So that's put both of them at 6-3 in conference. Purdue has a better record at 11-5 than Illinois does at 10-5, which gives them the start, which means they are right now 4th in the Big Ten and not ranked somehow. Even though Illinois, Ohio State, and I believe Minnesota are all ranked, and they're ahead of all of them, they're not ranked, which is insane right now because Purdue's playing about they're about as good as a basketball team in the Big Ten right now. And then Florida was able to upset Tennessee yesterday, and absolute drubbing, by the way, absolutely owned Tennessee. So it's very interesting, that Florida was able to do that. Fortunately, they didn't actually rise in the ranking. They went down 1, but if they hadn't won, they would have went down like 2 or something like that. So it was kind of a must-win game for Florida to really stay in that race. So I believe they're 6th or 7th right now in the SEC, but they'll keep going up. If they play that well, they're able to do that to Tennessee. You can hopefully beat Alabama, LSU next time you play them. So anyways, let's get into the 4 college basketball games there are today. So on Wednesday at 6 o'clock, we have number 20 Clemson, which is sitting at 9-2, traveling to Georgia Tech at 6-3. Now, Clemson's favored by 2 points in this game. It's on the ACC network. Now, let's see what happens if both teams win. What happens if Clemson wins? What happens if Georgia Tech wins? So right now, we are sitting at Clemson at 3-2 in conference, right? And right now they're in 7th place in the ACC. Ahead of teams like Duke, UNC, Syracuse, NC State. Teams like that. Teams that aren't doing great this year. I thought NC State would be doing better, but they haven't played in a while, so I'm going to give them a little bit of a break. But Florida State, Virginia have really popped up back onto the board. Virginia Tech's a weird one. Pitt is someone that I've been very interested to see how well they've been doing this year. But this is a chance for both these teams to get back into it. Now, if Clemson wins, that puts them at 4-2, 10-2 in conference. They would hop 2 spots to pass Georgia Tech in Louisville, right? Now, if Georgia Tech wins, that puts them at 3-1, right? 75% win percentage. I believe that would mean they would move up 1 spot, not 2 spots, but 1 spot past Louisville. So whatever happens today, Louisville is going down a spot. So it's been really a fall from grace for poor Louisville, who went from number 1 in the conference, looking like it was the best team in the conference, to losing to a pretty not great Miami team, to falling right now what is going to likely be, they will be 6th in the ACC, which is not ideal. So Georgia Tech, this is kind of a game that is really interesting because if you win it, you're suddenly in the top 5 with teams like Virginia Tech, Florida State, all these ACC teams that are pretty dang good. Plus, you have a Clemson win on your record, which is a really good thing to be able to say. So, what are the other college basketball? This is the game that I feel like is the greatest chance of an upset, so I'm going to pick it right now. I believe this is going to be my upset of the day. Not that the other upsets can't happen, but I believe Georgia Tech has the best chance of pulling off an upset and keeping the streak alive. So, at 6 o'clock, we have Providence, which is at 7-6, traveling to number 11, Creighton at 10-3. Now, Creighton's favored by 9.5 points this game. It's on FS1. Creighton right now is shooting 38% from behind the arc. This leads the Big East. They're doing great from behind the arc. They score a lot of points. Creighton's coming off a pretty bad loss against Butler over the weekend, which was probably one of the biggest upsets of the year, in my opinion. But unfortunately for Creighton, it wasn't too bad of a setback because luckily for them, Seton Hall did. Actually, I don't know if it's lucky. If Seton Hall had won, they would have gone to first place. It doesn't really affect their rating. They're still at 2. Now, right now, it's like Villanova's at 4 wins, so if they lose one, they're falling. So And Creighton just needs to keep winning. Just keep piling on the wins. If they win, they stay in second place, right? If they lose, they're still in second place. But a win here makes sure if Villanova loses, you are now in the spot to take over the top seed, which is very important if we're talking about Creighton basketball. Leading the Big East is huge for that basketball team. Now, on the other hand, Providence. What happens if Providence wins? Now, if Providence wins, they move to 4-4 in conference, right? So that means they would pass a team like Butler. Butler, for instance, sitting at 4-5 in conference, so a 500 record would get them past them, put them in 8-6. So they'd be right now. Marquette it would be 4-4 at 8-6. They would be 4-4 at 8-6. So then it goes to the third one, which is the tiebreaker. If they had played, they have played, and Marquette won that matchup. So the best thing Providence can do with a win here tonight is to move up a spot, which is pretty big. You can move up a spot past Butler, and then eventually just keep inching your way up. And if you can pass Marquette, the teams you're behind are all pretty good. So, like, again, you just need to keep inching your way up if you're the Providence Friars. I mean, they proved last time they played Creighton, they can play a really good game against Creighton. They almost won, if I'm going to be honest. They had a great comeback. Problem is, I was going to go with this upset, and then Creighton got upset against Butler on Saturday, and I'm like, I don't see them losing 2 in a row. I don't see them crumbling that badly. I feel like this is going to be a statement game for them, which makes me think that this isn't going to be a win for Providence. Although Providence is playing fantastic basketball, I wouldn't be surprised with the upset. But I was like, I'm not going to risk that. I feel like Clemson, Georgia Tech over Clemson's a better choice. 7 o'clock, we have Northwestern, which is sitting at 6-6, traveling to number 10, Wisconsin, 11-3. Now, Wisconsin's only surrendering 6.1 made threes per game, which is insane. This leads the Big Ten. This is on the Big Ten Network, by the way, and this is the biggest spread, the second biggest spread of the day. It gets bigger as we go along, obviously. Now, Wisconsin is favored by 11.5, and it's for a reason. Wisconsin right now, as many of you know, if you're a Big Ten fan, are sitting third in the Big Ten. Very good basketball team, and I'm really excited for the next time they play Iowa, for instance. I really want to see an Iowa-Wisconsin game, because Wisconsin's been playing some phenomenal basketball right now, so I'd be really interested to see how that matchup went. So, right now, this has become a must-win game for Northwestern. I've said it before. This is kind of a must-win game for Northwestern. This is the most must-win game of all those must-win games. They've lost, 5 in a row at this point? They're sitting at 6-6. If they lose this one, they're below 500. And you're starting to look like the third worst team in the Big Ten, which is really not good. Nebraska, Penn State, you are going to be left out of the tournament. If you don't start winning, you got to start winning the tough matchups. If you lose this one, you're still 3-6, right? You're still ahead of teams like Michigan State and Maryland, but I got to be honest, if you were going to pick today Michigan State or Northwestern, I'm taking Michigan State over you. I mean, Michigan State's playing better basketball right now. Now, on the other hand, Maryland, I don't know, they're also not doing that great. So I could honestly see 10 teams getting in from the Big Ten. But if Northwestern and Maryland want to start getting, they got to start winning the tough games. Maryland just got blown out last night by Michigan, so same thing there. So what happens with a win? With a win for Northwestern, they move to 4-5, right, in conference. That would move them past a team like Rutgers, and I believe it would. I think they stay behind Indiana, who has a 3-4 record, but moving up one spot, it's just a win to stop the momentum from keep going down. You gotta get a win here if you're Northwestern. On the other hand, Wisconsin, if you lose, it's not too horrible, although it puts you 2 games out of second place and first place, so not ideal. Right now, they're only 1 game out of first place, which is pretty good. So, again, with a win, you move to 6-2. Not insanely amazing, but you're half a game behind Iowa, a full game behind Michigan for first place. A loss here would put you 5-3. I think, actually, no, a loss would hurt you. A 5-3 record is not as good as a 6-3 record. I think you fall below Purdue and Illinois, which would be insane for Purdue to go from, like, in a week, like, 7th or 8th to 3rd in the Big Ten. Crazy turnaround for Purdue. But again, you don't want to lose if you're Wisconsin, which is why I feel like this is the only upset that I can't see happening. It's just Wisconsin has a good amount to play for, and they're a way better team than Northwestern. The only way Northwestern, I think, can pull off the upset is if it's kind of if we don't win this game, we're not in this thing anymore. So, last one at 7 o'clock, we have Tulsa, which is sitting at 8-4, traveling to number 8 Houston at 11-1. Remember, the one loss for Houston is from Tulsa, so don't think this is just an out of reach game for Tulsa. Again, this is a game I could see going the other way, but again, Houston's playing at a pretty high level right now, and normally Tulsa only beats them once a year. They don't beat them twice. I think it's going to be a closer game than most people think because Tulsa is, in fact, third in the American, behind Houston, obviously, and Wichita State, which Wichita State's a weird team that we're not talking enough about. We talk enough about Tulsa. Actually, we don't. We only really talk about Houston in the American, but there are some good teams in the American that we don't talk about. SMU, Tulsa, Wichita State, South Florida's been playing some pretty good basketball lately. East Carolina's a weird team that's kind of under the radar, even though that they're bottom in the American. They have a 7-3 record. So, again, there are some teams that I think are pretty good that we're not talking about in the American because they're not a Power 5 conference, which is weird because Pac-12 just really isn't that good. I don't know about what any of you guys think of that, but it's just not a great basketball conference this year, which is okay. I mean, it's not great for the Pac-12 because you're not a great football conference either, so it is weird. So it's going to be interesting. I think, again, what happens with a Tulsa win? With a Tulsa win, they move to 6-2. I don't have my math on me, but I believe that's a better win percentage. 6-2, that's 6 out of 8, 3, 4, 75% win for percentage. 4 to 5, it's an 80. So never mind. If you win today, you stay where you are. You can't move past someone. Houston, on the other hand, with a loss, it was a 6-2. I believe if with a loss, Houston moves behind Wichita State, which if you're a Wichita State Shocker fan, I believe you want a Tulsa win here so you can pass Houston for first place. On the other hand, with the Houston win, they stay where they are. Tulsa loss, I'm not positive, but I don't think that puts them behind a team like SMU. I think they stay in the 30 spot, but it also hurts their chances of winning the American. So the real question here is, who do I think is going to upset? I already answered this question. I think Georgia Tech is going to upset Clemson today. I think they're a pretty good basketball team. Like, they're decent. They're not horrible. Clemson, I think, was pretty good. But, like, again, this is my biggest chance of getting upset, I believe. I think Georgia Tech's good enough to win this game. Again, everybody, this is GGB. Carlos Puffer saying, adios, amigos, and go Yellow Jackets.